Captain America Civil War has now opened up in theaters. The movie actually opened up in countries like Mexico and in the UK last week, April 28th. So they got it early, because those are very important markets. In today's global economy, everything is connected.
Just to let you know, there's actually 2 end-of-credit scenes, one with Black Panther, one with Spider-Man. So just make sure that you stick around for the end of the credits, because I saw a lot of people leave after they saw the first one.
Now, before I begin, I just want to make a brief mention to some drama, some conflict that's been going on the YouTube, specifically related to channels that dedicate themselves to talking about comic book related movies or media. So recently, there's been an ongoing debate. There's 2 camps on it. One camp says that there are some companies that are in charge of producing comic book related movies, right? That have paid critics, a lot of critics are paid to produce either positive or negative reviews. And people really started talking about this after Batman v Superman came out, because the movie hadn't even come out yet, and the thing was already like at 32% in Rotten Tomatoes. I believe it's at 28% now. So yeah, there's people that state that, when it comes to Marvel movies and Disney-related properties, such as The Jungle Book, I saw that movie. I don't think it was that great. I think it has like over a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So people say that everything that's Marvel-related gets positive reviews, and stuff that's from DC, Warner Brothers, other companies, they don't do so well when it comes to critics. So what's going on? Are people being paid, or are they being honest with their opinions? Now, don't get me wrong when it comes to The Jungle Book. The Jungle Book, I saw that movie. It is a visual experience. Amazingly stunning visually, all right? Story-wise, in terms of originality, I think the movie leaves a lot to be desired. Visually speaking, the thing is amazing, all right? I think a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes, to me, it's a little bit too high. I'd probably place it around an 88. Now, regardless of what camp you're in, can we at least agree on the fact that Batman v Superman, despite its flaws, and I will never say that it's a great movie. In fact, I don't even think it's a good movie. I think it's a borderline average movie. But despite that, can we agree on the fact that it does not deserve a 28% Rotten Tomatoes rating? I think that's a little bit too harsh for the movie. I mean, 28%, that's a 50 Shades of Grey type of rating. And that movie was god-awful. And the reason why I wanted to start off talking about this in the first place is because I kind of wanted to give you guys something different. I don't know why, but I kind of get the impression that in other comic book or people that talk about comic book movies, you might just end up getting more of the same, which is people just saying how great and amazing this is and just praising this movie. Captain America Civil War, that is. If you don't know how I do things, I start off with no spoilers, then I'll warn you, I'll tell you spoiler alert, and I'll talk about spoilers so you can just, bail. So what did I think about this movie? No spoilers first. I'm not going to talk about the acting, because with movies like this, you already know what you're getting. You know Chris Evans, you know Robert Downey Jr., you know Scarlett Jo, you know what you're getting. With the exceptions of the new guys, which are Black Panther and Spider-Man, and I'll talk about them later on. I like this movie. I like this movie a lot. As of right now, I'm willing to say, without a doubt, it is my number 4 comic book movie of all time. I'll tell you what the other 3 are in the end, in case you're interested. But man, and it's a good movie because I think it kind of stands out because it actually tells a coherent and cohesive story, and it does it by being entertaining, having incredible action sequences, and also combining the humor and lightheartedness of the Marvel movies that we've grown to know and love with, and this is the big one, with a lot of political themes and a lot of emotional and just conflicting themes that are more dark and realistic in tone. And I know a lot of people were worried about the fact about whether or not this was actually going to be a Captain America movie versus it's like an Avengers 2.5 type of thing. Thematically, I think this is a Captain America movie through and through. Content-wise, though, I would say it's about 85% Captain America, 15% Avengers type stuff. So overall, it's a very strong quality movie. And I can guarantee, it's almost a guarantee that you'll have fun watching it. You'll have an amazing experience watching it if it's for the first time. That being said, though, before I go into the spoiler section, I do want to mention about the main thing that I kind of had a problem with, or that I didn't like so much. The biggest flaw that I found with this movie, in all honesty, is that it plays it too safe. That's the biggest thing I noticed. It knows exactly what it's doing, and it knows how to do it perfectly, because it's mastered that art so many times before, but I do think that it could have taken a little bit more risks in regards to its characters and its story. So they played it too safe, all right? And understandably so, because they want to keep making money. They want to keep developing the MCU, keep expanding the universe, right? And I get that. That's great, all right? That's what we want, more movies like this, right? However, if you look at the way the movie was marketed, the way the movie was promoted, what did we get? In the movie trailer, and in the posters, it was all about divisiveness. Team Captain America versus Team Iron Man. Which side are you on? And so I kind of got the impression that they were saying, in terms of like, hey man, after you watch this movie, nothing will ever be the same again. Like, things will change. This is a game changer. This movie, after you witness the events of this movie go down, things are going to change forever. Okay? Like, this is a drastic thing. This is a fork in the road. So after the movie was over, I thought to myself, no, I think things can still go back to the way things were. I think with a little bit of time for healing, I think things can still be patched up. I don't think anything too harsh or too irredeemable happened to the point of no return. In fact, given that we know that Infinity War is happening, I'm pretty sure things are going to have to be patched up. So now I have to get into spoilers. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Enjoy yourself. Overall, I'd probably give this movie the score of a 90. 90 out of 100, 9 out of 10. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. And yeah, I'm talking spoilers, so here we go.
Alright, so first things first, they seriously nerfed Scarlet Witch and Vision for this movie, and they made such a huge deal about not including Thor and Hulk in this because, if they had that, then, the fight would be over immediately. But Scarlet Witch and Vision are some of the most overpowered, broken characters in this verse. So, yeah, the fact that they had, Wanda in Avengers Age of Ultron, she stopped a train, she was able to manipulate people's minds and stuff, and in this movie, she's kind of she's backup, she's playing kiddie games with Hawkeye in the airport scene, and Vision doesn't do much of anything other than, just turn into a phantom. At least with Scarlet Witch, they actually gave her a reason for that, she's just afraid of using her powers, because if she overdoes it, if she just unleashes it, she doesn't know how many people can get hurt in the process. So I like that explanation for her. And there was a brief mention about, Vision wanting to learn more about the stone so that he could be able to control it instead of the stone controlling him. But still, come on. Another thing is, the Team Captain America, specifically Hawkeye and Ant-Man, it kind of seemed like those two characters were on Team Cap just by chance. They never really explained why they allied themselves with... I guess they kind of they're friends and stuff, and, it's they brought him in, but... I feel for example, right? Why Black Panther is with Iron Man. Why Spider-Man is with Iron Man. And by the way, they totally tricked us in the trailers. They deliberately eliminated, they cut off Spider-Man from this shot here. Because in the movie, he's totally part of the lineup. It's so funny. He even says, yeah, they're not stopping. And this scene in the airport is actually one of the most well-choreographed, most intense scenes, not only in this movie, but in, pretty much any comic book movie. The fact that every superhero is doing their own thing, and then... Yeah, they never let go of the comedy. That's just what's so amazing about it. They never really diminish the comedic tone of it. And so they're able to combine the intensity with the humor, with the amazing action. The funniest scenes definitely involved Ant-Man and Spider-Man. The theater would not stop laughing. When Tony went to recruit Spider-Man and you saw that opening shot of Queens, I remember the entire movie theater cracking up when Ant-Man, tells Cap, you gotta throw this truck at this disc that'll make it larger, right? So he throws the truck and it blows up and Ant-Man's like, oh, I thought it was a water truck. And then when he goes Giant Man mode, Spider-Man just looks at him. He's like, holy shit. The entire theater cracked up. And one of the things that they do stress about Spider-Man is that he's very young. It's very noticeable. Cap kind of wrecks him at the airport. Although technically everybody gets wrecked by each other in this movie. But if he got wrecked, it's because he's young. There's still a lot of room for improvement. He's just a kid. I love that Star Wars reference that he makes when he's trying to take down Ant-Man as if he were an AT-AT. And he's like, have you seen that old movie? And people are like, wait, how old is this kid? How young is this kid? Where did you get him, Tony? Holy shit. It's a very surreal experience because you end up fanboying over Spider-Man, who is fanboying over Tony Stark. It's so fun. Now, the trinity for this movie is definitely Captain America, Iron Man, and Bucky. Right? Because the entire plot of the movie collapses if one of them is not involved. But in terms of side characters, and this is why the movie is so smart, the side characters that shine the most are the new ones. Black Panther and Spider-Man are the side character jewels, gems. Black Panther, they even gave him his own little mini character arc that kind of starts propelling itself with the death of his father, and then reaches a very strong resolution when he talks to Baron Zemo by the end. And in terms of feats, I just find the fact that he can go, head to head with Captain America, the fact that, his suit or his claws can just scratch the Captain American shield, that was great. The fact that he can outspeed cars casually, I want to know more. Automatically want to know more. So looking forward to his movie. I mean, the claws in the shield are technically made out of different types of vibranium, but it was just such a rich character introduction for Black Panther. And in terms of the conflict, I thought they did a sublime job of combining the issue of Steve's friendship with Bucky as well as the registration act. Like to the point where, like, regardless of what team you're on, like what team you support, you understand where the other team is coming from. Like, you don't want other, like, innocent bystanders to die, but at the same time you want to be able to help people to the best of your ability, and you can't do that if that actually depends on the government, on political regulation. So it's just, you're torn. You're literally sitting there torn, and the buildup is so, like, well established and just so well constructed that by the end, holy crap, when the movie hits that third and final act, the trailers made it seem as if, like, the big shocker or, like, the big defining moment was when Captain America says, like, "I'm sorry, Tony, but Bucky's my friend," and then you know, Tony Stark says, like, "So is I." No, I'm telling you, the moment where you find out that Bucky was the one who killed Tony's parents, and then Tony looks over to Captain America and he asks, "Did you know?" And Steve says, "Yeah." My heart just dropped. I mean, I'm Team Captain America all the way, but when I saw the pain in Tony's eyes, man, the rage and anger, and then I saw Steve being like, shit, like, this is what it's come down to. I have to answer this question. And actually, I remember in Age of Ultron, where when they were chopping wood, right? And Tony told Captain America, "I just don't trust a guy without a dark side." And Captain replies, "Well, let's just say you haven't seen it yet." Well, now you get to see it. And so, retaking my initial point, I feel like this is where Disney began playing it way too safe, right? Because I feel like, story-wise, it would have made perfect sense for one of them to end up killing the other. And you would have understood. It would suck. Like, it would make you really sad. But you would understand why it happened. Both of them are super passionate about things. They are not thinking straight. Holy shit, one of them just killed the other. What the hell? And if that had happened, I guarantee this movie would have blown up, like, immediately, because everybody would be talking about this. Everybody and their grandmother would be about, like, did you see Civil War, man? Man, like, Captain America just ended Tony Stark, man. Holy shit, he died. Let's go see it again. We have to go see this movie again. But no, they just couldn't do it. They couldn't risk it. You know, they couldn't even kill one of the side characters. Well, with the exception of, I guess, like Crossbones, which is kind of a disappointment because they spent, like, a significant amount of time setting him up in Winter Soldier, and then, you know, Scarlet Witch just blew him up. And so by the end, Captain America just writes a love letter to Tony, and yeah, I mean, it just looks like he's getting his team out of prison. And I actually would have appreciated if the movie had actually, like, just ended but with us seeing, like, the entirety of Team Captain America behind bars, just kind of, like, depressed, and, like, you know, this was, because by the end, if you think about it, like, Baron Zemo kind of won because his objective was kind of, like, to tear the team apart, and that's what ended up happening. Like, the team is shattered, at least by the end of this movie, and that's cool. I like it because I got the same feeling that I got when I watched Empire Strikes Back for the first time, which is like, shit, like, you know, sometimes, you know, realistically speaking, it's not all, you know, dandelions and flowers and walks in the park. So, like, sometimes things just suck and they don't end the way that you want them to. And this is something that I think DC does pretty well. Like, it's very, very dark and, like, gloomy, and, you know, I think Marvel was charting into new territory with this ending here, but I think they just couldn't do it. They just had to, like, have a little bit of a happy ending there.
That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. In case you were curious, my top 4 comic book movies of all time are as follows. At number 1, The Dark Knight. At number 2, Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. At number 3, Avengers Age of Ultron. I know that's a very controversial choice, and I'm not picking it, like, you know, strictly from an objective basis. I am picking it because I enjoyed that movie a lot. There's just no explanation. It's very subjective. Now, all right, objectively speaking, Civil War is a better movie than Age of Ultron, but I enjoyed Age of Ultron more for some reason. It was just a lot of fun. I love that movie. I love the action sequences, and yes, sometimes that movie is all over the place when it comes to, you know, the plot and a little bit of the storylines, but it was just a fun mess. And so that's my number 3. At number 4, Civil War. I hope you enjoyed the movie. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more content. Comment down below with your thoughts. Bye, guys.